I see the born of no return. It's just ahead now, it's just ahead now. Can't you see we're rushing for the end? I see the point of no return. Now I see the point of no return. It's just ahead.
Good evening. I'm Gary Hendershot, and it's Monday, September 9th, 2013, and you're about to listen to me bark at the moon, as if anybody really cared. Let's see here. Those of us in alternative media do have something of a target on our backs, and you get used to it after a while. At my age, frankly, I'm just not afraid of much anymore. But there does seem to be a concerted effort on to, at the very least, quiet dissent. Last month, a fellow by the name of Mike Adams runs a website that I frequent called naturalnews.com. You might have, if you listen to Alex Jones, you might have seen this fellow sitting in for Alex Jones from time to time. He's a very gifted, talented broadcaster, a hell of a writer, and puts out a fine website that's I think very useful as far as finding out what healthy foods are all about. I'm not sure why anybody would be offended by this guy, other than the fact that he does tend to talk some trash about Monsanto and the corporate conglomerate food establishments. He will flat tell you, don't you dare eat at McDonald's or Burger King, or you're drinking Coca-Cola or Pepsi, shame on you. So I guess he may indeed have some corporate enemies, shall we say. Well, back in July, got a letter from Mike. Says the McAfee Antivirus and Security Company is currently engaged in a malicious, slanderous defamation campaign against Natural News. Although the Natural News website contains no malicious code whatsoever, it is being flagged by McAfee as a malicious website that poses especially hazardous risks to users' computers. And my understanding is that Mike Adams had to pay McAfee off to get listed in their good guy website list or some such nonsense. Basically, he had to come up with extortion money to get McAfee to not claim that his website would damage your computer. At this point, all's well. If you'd like to cruise on over to naturalnews.com, please do, because it's a hell of a good website. You might just learn something. But as Sonny and Cher would have said, the beat goes on. More recently, on September 8th, just yesterday, I saw an article that indicates that federaljack.com, federaljack, all one word, .com, run by a guy named, he goes by the handle Popeye. He does a regular radio broadcast called Down the Rabbit Hole. Something really weird went on where the entire DNS record for his website got wiped. So even though his web host is still there, all the web code is still there, you can't find him, because if you type into any search engine, federaljack.com, it comes up with a nice listing, and you punch it, and it comes up and says, we can't find that website because the domain name servers that point to federaljack.com seem to have lost their memories of how to locate the Federal Jack website. Most perplexing, particularly because this fellow Popeye over there, who he basically operates as a news aggregator, where he aggregates news from other providers, but he does have some contributing authors and does write some material of his own. But they were really close to coming up with information about this porno gate stuff that's going on. Apparently there are people out there who have contrived malicious code that can put forensic evidence on your computer to indicate that you might have been looking at kiddie porn or something, so that if the cops do make a raid on you, they look at your computer and they can find these things, cookies or whatever, that says, this he's a naughty son of a gun. He's been looking at kiddie porn, Well, talk about playing dirty. But yeah, there's, shall we say, indications that this Porngate thing, which apparently has almost caught some fairly big names in alternative media. This fella, Luke Radowski from We Are Change, he was pretty sharp. He noticed some stuff coming in on an email attachment, managed to, avoid, kind of dodged the bullet on that one. Others have not been quite so lucky, but considering the laws against child pornography, I don't want to get into a debate here about whether or not child pornography is good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. The law is being used to entrap otherwise innocent parties. And this fella Popeye over at federaljack.com was getting pretty darn close to exposing the details about Porngate, when all of a sudden his website disappeared. Probably just an unrelated coincidence, right? Now, fellow pictures here over my shoulders, a fellow named Mike Rivero. Runs a hell of a fine website called whatreallyhappened.com. He's also a regular broadcaster. He does a live video stream, I think, on one of the video CDNs. It used to be at Justin TV. I think he's moved it recently to someplace else, but he does have a viewer embedded on his website at whatreallyhappened.com. His website operates primarily as an aggregation site. He draws on news articles from all over alternative media, and also produces some unique articles of his own. It appears that Mike Rivero, a regular broadcaster on the RBN network, Republic Broadcasting Network, now finds himself squarely in the sights of our friends at the IRS. Now, Mike's been in this fight ever since he smelled something foul with the Vince Foster suicide, in air quotes. Remember Vince Foster? Remember some folks called the Clintons Remember the Rose law firm? Well, Mike Rivero got started in alternative media that far back, a 20-year history as a champion of finding the truth. Now, there's a lot that Mike Rivero and I would disagree on. But it's pretty clear that his current trials and tribulations are targeted because much of the information that he publishes would probably be most unpopular with certain financial interests. How many of you out there have ever heard of a fellow named Barrett Brown? This guy, got a little notoriety going back as early as 2007. Some called him the spokesman for Anonymous, the Anonymous hacker group. Well, this guy Brown is no hacker. I mean, he knows his way around a computer, I guess, but, he's probably like me. He knows his way around a computer, but doesn't pretend to be a knowledgeable high-end hacker. But he is familiar enough with the internet that he knows where the hackers from Anonymous publish what they have found. And in his travels, he found some very interesting dirt related to an outfit, a cybersecurity outfit called HB Gary Federal. Now, they're a military intelligence contractor. He found some really dirty dirt on them published on some of these hacker sites and made the mistake of publishing a link to the articles, which started a multi-year investigation by the FBI, where they quite literally made this young man and his mother's life miserable. They continually harassed and harangued both Barrett Brown and his mother. Now, apparently, some point 2011, I don't know if the fella smoked something or had a couple too many drinks or whatever, but he published what I would consider an ill-advised YouTube video where he made some veiled threats that, he was going to get back at these people who were making him and his family and his friends' lives miserable. Frankly, I suspect he expressed feelings that you would probably feel as well had you been in his position. Well, that gave the FBI all the excuse they needed. So Barrett Brown now faces 105 years in jail for 3 felony counts of threatening a federal law enforcement officer and 2 counts of obstruction of justice, concealment of evidence. This guy's been in jail for more than 6 months. Now, he has tried to get his story covered. He's tried like hell to get this fellow Glenn Greenwald to step up to the plate, give him a little bit of airtime. Because frankly, it's one of those situations where this fella could be kept incommunicado from now until doomsday unless somebody speaks up in his defense. We could find him 100 years from now under the jail. Luckily, he does have, at this point at least, a small support group that's attempting to raise money to provide a legal fund to try to fight the charges. But now, at a September 4th hearing, they were given, Brown and his attorney were hit with a gag order. They're not even allowed to discuss it anymore. The cone of silence has come down on Barrett Brown. Now, be honest with you, I am an old man, probably a little on the frail side. I don't know what this FBI agent who supposedly Mr. Brown threatened looks like, but my understanding is that he's, probably half my age and is fairly large and burly. Could he really have felt threatened by this young fella Brown? Well, all things considered, with all the trials and tribulation that broadcasters in the alternative media have faced of late, there's, I guess, worse things out there. So, bottom line is, if you're out there fighting the good fight, keep fighting. We're winning. We are winning the hearts and minds of the American public. I don't agree all the time with all the other alternative media broadcasters, but I can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. And the enemy of my enemy remains my ally. High on the list of any broadcast right now has got to be this heads down run that we're making at war with Syria. Now, the red line supposedly was that Bashar Assad, the president of Syria, has been accused of using chemical weapons on his own people. Other reports claim that no, the weapons used were homemade munitions that were put together by the terrorists. Basically, they're trying to overthrow Assad. I'm sorry, and I live in the United States of America, so from my point of view, they are freedom fighters. They are freedom fighters. They're not terrorists. However, if these same fellas were attacking a U.S. installation in Afghanistan or Iraq or Galveston, Texas, we would refer to them as terrorists because they are indeed operating in a terrorist fashion. But just for the sake of argument, we'll call them freedom fighters, paid mercenaries by the CIA and the MI6 and the Mossad. But they may be assholes, but they're our assholes, okay? So we like them, and we don't think they would have used chemical weapons. We think our adversary, Assad, did it. All that aside, Syria and Russia have now cut a deal where Russia is going to take control over Syria's chemical weapons. That removes from the coalition of the ridiculous, I mean the United States, that removes from them any pretense that Assad may be a danger to his own people or to neighboring nations, Israel. Pretty interesting. We are calling on the Syrian authorities not only to agree to putting chemical weapons storage under international control, but also for its further destruction, then joining the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. David Cameron stressed that the Syrian conflict can only be solved with political methods. Interesting. John Kerry says they've got a week to get rid of their nukes. You know, in all of this fella Putin stands out as being one of the few adults in the whole thing. John Kerry, our current Secretary of State, has looked absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the man has not been properly coached on lying. He just is not very good at it. And, our Congress, when they went home for their August recess, they got an earful from the rank and file, their constituents at home, saying, not just no, but hell no, we don't want to go to war with Syria. You ain't shown us anything close to a good reason. But the American people, being what the American people are, it seems that 12 times as many American citizens navigated their web browser to something called a Miley Cyrus doing some kind of, I don't know, pole dance or something. It involved stuffed bears and dwarfs. I don't know. I don't care. But apparently 12 times as many Americans watched Miley Cyrus as watched any news about Syria. And, of course, our President Obama, fortified with, the wrath of God from Benjamin Netanyahu, now drags the Congress kicking and screaming towards the precipice of war with Syria, even though better than 2/3 of the American public say not just no, but hell no. But for those in high places who support a war with Syria, no problem. Your friendly neighborhood AIPAC lobbyist will be by with your little bag lunch that has more than a few Benjamins wrapped up in it, just to make sure that when it comes time to vote, you vote the right way. And yes, that's the way all good Americans should go, because don't you understand? If they can get it started, once it's going, Americans have a tendency to rally around the flagpole. My country, right or wrong. Well, may have been a mistake, but now that we're in it, we got to see it through. Okay, so he didn't have any weapons of mass destruction, but now we're here. Oil's going to pay for it. Yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And sorry about the collateral damage and messing things up with depleted uranium, but hey, look at this way. At least it wasn't sarin gas, Of course, sarin gas is gone in a relatively short period of time. Depleted uranium is the gift that keeps on giving for generations. And as we wag our finger at nations who feel obliged to have some form of chemical weapon or biological weapon as a deterrent to rather bellicose neighbors, Israel, that might actually wish to do them harm, Israel, and actually may even have nukes, Israel, you can understand why somebody in that region might feel the need to have some deterrent weapons to keep a jerk of a neighbor, Israel, from coming and kicking their butts. And of course, the United States still hasn't made reparations to the people of Vietnam for the chemical weapon Agent Orange that we plastered their country with, that's still producing birth defects to this day. But when we use it, it's a defoliant, and collateral damage was totally unintended. We really didn't mean it honest. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. Hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. Think about it, and as always, make up your own damn mind.
Love of the old turnarounds. None of us are leaving here alive. Whoa, what will you say? What will you say? And what will you do? What will you do? What will you do? Oh, I'm calling out to you. Won't you turn around? Oh, I'm calling out to you. Won't you turn around?